Energy Saving Partners presents Wall Insulation with Andy Cordova.
Hi, my name is Andy Cordova. I'm with the Colorado Energy Savings Partners program, the weatherization program for Colorado.
Fill tubes and stepping down the hose.
I want to explain some equipment we use for dense pack wall insulation. Your hose coming off the machine is going to be 3-inch. This is actually 2.5-inch. So you want to go from 3-inch to 2.5-inch with the reducer. This will slide into here like this. It doesn't have to go all the way in. This next piece is 2-inch hose. Again, another reducer from 2.5 to 2-inch. Go in here, that slides in a lot easier. These sections are 10 foot and just makes it a little bit easier to work with. And then we'll go into our fill tubes. This is a summer fill tube, so it's a little bit more rigid so that when it heats up in the summertime, it's going to keep its rigidity without getting too soft on you. And it's also 10 feet long. This other fill tube is a winter hose, and it's a lot more flexible so that in the wintertime when it gets really cold out, it'll still keep its rigidity without getting too stiff on you. So you kind of need both of these hoses to do dense pack, especially here in Colorado. Like on a day like today, it's January, it's going to be cool in the morning, so you may be using the blue fill tube to start with, switch over mid-morning to the red hose fill tube, and then switch back to the blue later in the afternoon as it starts cooling down. This is a blower nozzle from Rigid Vacuums, and this is the transition from 2-inch, and it actually goes inside the reducer here, then into the fill tube. All this tubing and hose has a natural curve to it because it's rolled on a coil. We want to utilize that natural curve, or that crown, if you will, that it has already. So since we work on mobile homes and site builds, I'm going to cut these ends at opposite angles. Again, here's our crown on the fill tube here, so I'm going to go the point to the inside of the crown on this particular fill tube here. A 60-degree angle or so. Crown will keep it to that interior surface like that and slide right up past the belt rail. Now on the other end, we're going to do the opposite. Again, crown here, something like that. So that when you put them together, they come together almost as if one piece here. I'm going to go ahead and mark our fill tubes. And we want to mark them every foot. When we're using this side of the fill tube, we're going to be using it this way. So let's go ahead and put a 1 here. And a 2 on the top side. 8, 9. If we're using our fill tube from this other side, what we're going to do is put our numbers just on the underside of it. And the reason we do that is so that when we get into the wall cavity, we know where we are with our fill tubes. If you're only at 4 or 5, you're not all the way up. If you're not, there's some blocking or something else, you may have to do some investigating. I'm going to go ahead and put all this tubing together now. We'll wrap it with duct tape here. This is good quality duct tape, and it makes all the difference in the world. Like that. Here's the coil this way. I'm following the coil with this and just sticking it right in there. Go ahead, tape it up. Okay. I'm going to take a piece of tape and get it started and then tape it up really well. Okay, so that's our reduction down to 1.25 inches. And again, we can just put whatever size hose we want on it. One other thing about the fill tubes is you want to take care of them. These fill tubes kind of have a memory, if you will. If they get kinked like that and they stay in that position for some time, they'll retain that, and you'll clog up and you'll have difficulty filling the walls up. It'll plug up on you quite a bit. One last thing on the fill tubes. You want to mark it toward the end here, about 6 inches or so, just to remind you that you're almost out of the cavity there.
Preparing the work area. When insulating the area, practice lead-safe weatherization. Remove any items from the walls that might be damaged while doing your work. Remove any curtains from the area as well. Deactivate the furnace and swamp cooler air handlers so that it cannot be energized while disturbing painted surfaces. Close all windows and cover all registers with plastic. Cover all appliances and furniture near the work area. Prepare the work area by placing plastic on the floor and taping all the edges. Pay special attention to high traffic areas. Tenting the area. Tent off the area where work is to be performed with plastic sheeting. Use staples to attach the top of the tent to the ceiling. Do not use duct tape, as it may cause damage to the painted surface. At the end of the job, roll up the plastic sheeting carefully so that no debris or dust can spill. Place it in a garbage bag and tape it shut. Personal protective equipment. Wear disposable coveralls when entering a dusty work environment so that you do not carry contaminants home on your clothing. Wear eye protection and gloves when working in a dirty environment or when working with power tools. All field workers must be supplied with proper respiratory protection. Workers are required to wear a respirator whenever they are working in a dusty environment. Clean your mask thoroughly with an alcohol pad, paying special attention to where the mask seals to your face. Fit testing your respirator. Cover the inhalation valves with your hands and inhale. There should be no leakage where the mask comes in contact with your face. Cover the exhalation valve while exhaling gently. There should be no leakage of air. Use a respirator canister designed for dust. Workers with beards, facial scars, and thick temple bars on eyeglasses must take special care to get a good seal when putting on a respirator. Breathing hazardous materials, absorbing them through the skin, and eye contact are common ways workers are exposed. Employees should know the appropriate protective equipment to wear when working around hazardous materials. Finding the studs. Use a tape measure to determine where to drill the next hole.
So this is where our stud is here. Stud's 1.5 inches wide or so. So then I'm going to drill a hole at least 10 inches over. So we're at 6.5. 6.5 here. Our next stud's here. We drilled this hole afterwards. So typically I would have drilled a hole here first. And so we'd go this way. And then to double check, you want to come back the other direction.
A wire can also be used.
You can double check your work by going back, making sure you didn't miss any cavities.
Blocking. Sidewalls must not have voids totaling more than 5% of the net wall area. You will find narrow cavities and many forms of blocking. It is up to you to find and fill these areas. You can be sure that the infrared camera will. Drilling the holes. Drill through paint using a drill with shroud and a HEPA vacuum. Discard the hole cores into the wall cavity. Foam inserts placed in the hole saw automatically eject them. Completely drill the walls in the area that are to be insulated. Don't forget above the windows and doors. Lead-based paint safe work practices must be used on homes that were built before 1978 and where the painted surfaces will be disturbed. And the homes have not been tested negative for lead paint. Clean the area with the HEPA vacuum and wipe down the area with the bleach and water solution. Dispose of the wipes into the wall cavity. Before moving on to the next area, clean up the drill and shroud and place it in its carrying case for the move. Vacuum yourself off and move to the next section. During breaks, remove personal protective clothing and wash your hands before eating. At the end of the day, discard the personal protective clothing into a plastic bag and dispose of it properly. Blowing the walls. Insert the fill tube into the cavity to be dense packed. Push it in until it stops. Check to make sure that you are at the top of the cavity. Pull it back about 6 to 8 inches. Wrap a towel or cloth around the end of the fill tube to prevent blowback. Begin filling the cavity. Pull the hose out slowly, packing the cavity as you go. Cellulose sidewall insulation must be installed in such a manner that does not allow settling of the material to occur. Dense pack. As you near the end of the hole, turn the hose down and pack the bottom portion of the cavity. Move on to the next cavity to be filled. And don't forget to fill above the windows and doors. Go back and fill any areas missed because of blocking. Blowing walls with bats. Attempts must be made to blow wall cavities with an inch or more of free space. Simply cut a hole in the bat. Work the hose up between the hard surface and the backing to avoid tearing the bat. Fill the cavity. Checking your work.
We'll drill a small hole here, then insert the bat support. And you should feel some resistance or a lot of resistance. I can't turn the bat either direction because it's dense packed in there. Good job. You check it a little bit higher in the wall cavity here. Get it in there. And we're actually able to turn our inspection tool here. That cavity is not dense packed at that area.
Patching the holes. Plugs that are compatible with the siding or wall type must be used to cover the exposed surface that has been drilled. The plugs must be seated tightly and the finished patch must be flush with the wall or siding. Plugs and patching must be presentable and ready for a final coat of paint. Silicone may not remain on the surface of the plug. Plugs must be primed and glued into place when exposed to weather. Use exterior grade materials. The patches may be painted to match the existing color of the home. Texture. To further hide the holes, you may wish to try to match the texture on the wall. There are many different techniques. Feel free to experiment. Blowing from outside. Where possible, carefully remove the siding to gain access from outside. Unzip the siding above the area to be drilled. There are procedures for removing other types of siding to perform exterior dunce pack insulation. Refer to the ESB Field Guide, Chapter 6. Take extreme caution when removing vinyl siding in cold weather to avoid cracking. You can install blocking to help you access the area underneath the siding. Drill through the original siding. Insert the fill tube and dunce pack the cavity. When finished, seal the holes and zip the siding back into place. Blowing through stucco. Use a hammer to gain access through the stucco. Pry up the lath with a screwdriver. Cut and remove it. Drill and fill the cavity as usual. Cut a new piece of lath. Secure it into place and patch with new stucco. Use a sponge or brush to match the texture.
In closing, I hope this training video has helped to show you some techniques that will help you do your job more effectively. Some key points to remember are proper equipment, good technique, and doing self-inspection to ensure good quality work. Good luck to you.
Funding for this video comes from the Department of Energy. This video was produced at the Energy Saving Partners studio at SunPower.